Guys, we got another requested comparison here. This is a comparison that I actually really like. Which phone should you buy if you are in the used refurbished marketplace looking for a old flagship here? We got the S21 Ultra versus the Pixel 7 Pro. Both these phones are actually aging really well. I've been running the Android 15 beta on the Pixel 7 Pro, so I've been really impressed with both of these phones. You guys know how much I like the S21 Ultra. They're both actually roughly around the same price. I think you can get an S21 Ultra for a little bit cheaper, but it really depends on if it's locked in the overall condition. But overall, they're around the same price. You can get a very good version for around $300 for both. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the hardware. I think the hardware has aged really well on both of these phones. I think they still look really good in 2024, this late 2024. So they both kind of have very different takes on how they do the camera. You can see you have the classic Pixel camera bar here, and Samsung with the camera cutout was one of my favorite designs here. I think it just looks overall really cool. It gives it that kind of sci-fi look, especially with that like little red spot right there. But overall, really nice design. You have a glossy finish, matte finish, which I do like a little bit more on the S21. They're both very comfortable to hold as well too, so that's really nice, especially considering that they're very big phones here. They're both IP68 dust and water resistant, and overall design wise they have held up really well throughout the years here, so I have no complaints. You do have S Pen support with the S21 Ultra, which is really nice. So let's take a look at the displays here. So there's a lot to like about both displays here, and there's a lot of similarities as well too. So the Pixel has an LTPO AMOLED display. It is 120Hz HDR10 plus, 1500 nits peak brightness, and it is a 6.7 inch display. It also has a 1440p resolution at 512 for the PPI. The S21 Ultra has a slightly bigger panel here. It is a 6.8 inch display, dynamic AMOLED, 120Hz HDR10 plus, and then this one also gets 1500 nits peak brightness, so they pretty much look the same in direct sunlight. So you also have a 1440p display in 515 for the PPI. So pretty similar specs resolution wise and also PPI wise. They both have the punch hole. There are some minor differences here. You have a curved panel on both, but it looks like the S21 Ultra is a little bit less curved, just a little bit. But they both look really good. What you'll notice is that the S21 Ultra has a slightly more colorful panel. Samsung has, always had these really vibrant panels, which a lot of people, you either like it or you don't like it. Some people who do photo editing and stuff say that, it's too much. But if you are into playing games and watching content, I do really like the panel on the S21 Ultra. I think it just makes the content pop in my opinion. So if you're playing games, watching movies and stuff like that. But overall, both really good displays on both of these phones, guys. Really no complaints. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the overall specs and overall performance throughout the years here. Has been pretty good. Both of these phones will get the Android 15 update as well too, which is really nice. You have the Google Tensor G2 processor on the Pixel 7 Pro. This base model has 128 gigs and 12 gigs of RAM. You also do have on the S21 Ultra, you have the Snapdragon AAA processor, 128 gigs of internal storage and 12 gigs of RAM. They both are really, really smooth, guys. Let's take a look at animations and app loading here. So we'll just load up a few apps. Okay, looks like the Pixel got that. They're both very smooth animations here. Try Subway Surf. Again, the S21. Definitely a little bit faster here. Let's see what else do we have here. Let's try Instagram. Okay. So pretty much on par with each other. They both look really smooth here. With animations. Let's do something a little bit heavier. We got PUBG. See what we got. Looks like the S21 is overall. It looks like the S21 is just going to be a little bit faster when you're getting into games and stuff. Is something that I've noticed. The Pixels aren't usually geared towards being the fastest, phones and going crazy with benchmarks and stuff like that. They're typically geared towards the Google, AI stuff and all that stuff that they like to do. You can see S21 already in, Pixel right behind it. So overall, I would say the S21 is definitely a little bit faster. Let's talk about the gaming experience here. So the S21 Ultra is going to do a better job at gaming if you do consider yourself a mobile gamer. We can play at better settings here on PUBG. You can see we can play at 90 frames. And it does a pretty good job at gaming. Both of these phones actually get a little bit warmer than I would like if you're doing, long periods of gaming. I've never had a crash on me, playing PUBG, Call of Duty, but it's just something that I do notice with both of these phones. And also the Pixel here, it's not as quite as well optimized as the Galaxy here, this Tensor chip. It can play PUBG at 60 frames just fine. So I would say overall you do get better settings on the S21, and that'll be pretty much Call of Duty and pretty much whatever else. It's just going to be better optimized. But the gaming experience is perfectly fine on here if you're not really into gaming, you just want to play a match or something. Alright, so let's check out these speakers side by side at max volume. Yeah, I definitely like the Pixel speaker a little bit more here. The bass is way more clear. Yeah, I do like the sound of the Pixel a little bit more. They're both pretty loud, but I do like the overall sound profile of the Pixel here. As far as the fingerprint scanner, the Galaxy has a much better fingerprint scanner. It has the ultrasonic, and it's pretty much, it just feels instant, as opposed to the Pixel. You kind of have to hold it down a little bit, but it does work. It's perfectly fine. You can use Face Unlock on both of these as well too. Go ahead and talk about the cameras, because I think this is probably the most interesting thing about this comparison is how has the cameras aged. So the S21 Ultra does have a pretty beefy camera setup for 2024 still. It's got a 108 megapixel standard. You also have a 10 megapixel telephoto lens on here as well too. You also have a 10 megapixel periscope telephoto with 10 times optical zoom. You also do have the 12 megapixel ultra wide 8K 24. You also have 40 megapixel selfie that shoots in 4K 60. And remember, this phone can do the 100 times zooms, and this is really good for zoom photography as well. So if you take a lot of zoom shots, you'll really appreciate the S21 Ultra. Now the Pixel still has a very impressive camera, especially for taking stills. It's a 50 megapixel standard with a 48 megapixel periscope telephoto. It's got 5 times optical zoom, and then it also has a 12 megapixel ultra wide. It can shoot in 4K 60 with a 10.8 megapixel selfie that shoots in 4K 60 as well. Take a look at these side by side stills and video. Let me know what you guys think. So my honest opinion about battery life is that both phones are not really that impressive. Even brand new when I got these phones, they were really not that impressive as far as screen on time. It was just pretty average as far as getting through the day. Depending on what you do, you could probably kill both of these phones off. Now, they both have pretty big batteries at 5,000 milliamps, but because of the chips not being very efficient here, the screen on time is just not as good as some of the newer Pixels and newer Galaxy phones for sure. That's one thing I did notice here. You have wireless charging on both of these. You also have reverse wireless charging on both of these. They charge about the same speeds as for wireless charging as well too. And overall, they're pretty similar in terms of screen on time, in my opinion. If you're a light user, I wouldn't worry about it. But if you're a heavier user, just do note that you will have to, kind of charge these phones. But that is pretty much it. Be sure to let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.